When you started, was it 5 or 7 blue zones, and what have we grown to?
There's only 5 blue zones, and we've not grown. A number of people claim blue zones because it's good for tourism and it's good for business, but they're not real blue zones.
So should we just? I mean, I don't even know if I can name them all, but Okinawa.
Yeah. Longest lived
Try.
women. Yeah.
All right, Okinawa, Loma Linda, California. I know that.
In
Very
America.
close here. We have Sardinia. No?
Correct. Longest lived
Oh.
men in the world.
Longest living. We have a place in Costa Rica. I forget the name.
Nicoya.
Nicoya.
Nicoya Peninsula of Costa Rica.
And then the last is, give me a hint.
It's a hard one. It's a place where your name is very popular. It's in Ikaria, Greece.
Oh, Greece. I was going to say Greece. Okay.
Yes. And that's a very interesting, it's an island with 10,000 people and no discernible dementia. And
What is that from? So, yeah, I want to ask
Well-
you about the commonalities. What do you notice?
I noticed that a lot of the things that we forget when pursuing health, that's front and center for them. So having a great social, caring, loving, healthy social circle of friends is perhaps the biggest thing you can do, quite honestly. It's not sexy. It's not something you can buy and do overnight. They're eating a peasant diet. They're eating beans and grains and garden vegetables and cheap tubers. They are... They know and live their sense of purpose, so they're not waking each day with this sort of existential stress of, where's my place in society? What's my place in the world? They get 8 hours of sleep. They eat all their calories in about an 8-hour window and leave there and aren't, snacking and eating junk for 16 hours. They're little things that they do every day for decades, and it adds up to about 10 extra years of life expectancy, and they look better and they feel better every decade along the way. And the value proposition is enormous.
I want to ask you a little bit about purpose, because when, obviously we came from the industrial industrial thing situation, evolution, and now we're moving to this AI revolution, right? And we're so on the cusp of it. Yes, we've already gotten there in many ways, but it's only going to grow. And I think one of the biggest issues for me was like this idea of purpose for humans, because so much of our job, first of all, many of our jobs are going to be taken or replaced by robots. And maybe that's more daunting or maybe not even real. Maybe jobs will evolve, which I'm sure they will because humans evolve. However, when things become easier for us and work weeks shorten, like what happens to our purpose? What happens to artists who aren't working as much? And, do you ever question that?
Yes, I do. I have a yes and no answer for that. So I think most of what drives longevity and happiness, by the way, is making an effort and discomfort. We live in a country that's obsessed with comfort and ease.
Yeah, things are getting too easy.
Yes, we drive everywhere. We're never more than 10 steps away from some calorically dense food. We use a handheld device instead of a face-to-face conversation for our communications. There's a mechanical conveniences to do all our work. And quite honestly, I think AI is just going to make that worse. And it is the wrong direction. On the other hand, I don't think we necessarily need productivity to have purpose. My dad, for example, 90 years old, he hasn't worked, quote unquote, work for 30 years, but he has a garden. Mm-hmm. He has kids and grandkids, and he takes care of them. He takes care of his wife. He takes care of his home. And these are things that aren't going to be replaced by AI. It may require a sort of rethinking of what purpose is, but purpose is fundamentally my values, my passions, what I love to do, what I'm good at, and then an outlet. There's no dimension of do I get paid for it. You don't need to get paid for it.
Well,
and
it's funny because I guess, in a sense, I feel, because of the job that we've been in, and you probably feel the same, even though we started this interview by saying don't follow the money, one of the reasons I got into show business, so to speak, was because, oh, there's a fancy paycheck at the end of the day, which, by the way, isn't the same. It's not commensurate with what it was before. You would work long hours and you would get paid for what you worked, right? Like almost meritocracy in that sense. Now it's you work your butt off, but you don't necessarily get compensated the same because jobs aren't the same. Hollywood's changed quite a bit. That's a whole different tangent. But I do think, for me, it's about reprogramming my mind in that you can do things that are productive, but maybe you don't need to get paid for them. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, the evidence will suggest that after about $150,000 a year, more money is not going to buy you more happiness. Or it buys you a little bit, but it's not worth reorienting your life. And in the places where universal salaries have been tried, Finland, for example, when they give everybody $10,000, they find that it generates a lot of happiness. So, Elon Musk himself has suggested this idea of maybe AI gets so good that it pushes a lot of people's traditional jobs out of the workforce. But maybe, we get to a place where we can just pay people to enjoy their lives. And, I did a cover story for National Geographic on Denmark, routinely one of the happiest countries in the world. The free health care. There's everybody who retires is guaranteed enough money to live their lives. They don't have to worry about what happens when I get old. And college students are actually paid to go to college. You not only don't have to worry about tuition, you get paid to stay in school. And guess what? That goes diametrically against this sort of work ethic where you got to earn everything you get. No, there's a very clear model that we get so productive as a society that some people can just coast. And, this one expert said, the difference between we in Denmark and Republicans in the United States, I don't, I'm not going to say if I'm a Republican or Democrat, but I'm just going to quote somebody who said, in America, you have a group of people who are scared to death about somebody getting what they don't deserve. And we in Denmark are scared to death that somebody who needs help isn't going to get it. And it's a fundamental different sort of mindset. And I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that those countries who have the attitude where they're more afraid that somebody who needs help is not going to get it, they produce a much happier society and one that we might want to think about.
That is, it just needs to get hotter there. And if it does, I would consider moving.
Yeah. Hotter,
So
and if only they could just do away with the 20-hour night in the middle of the winter. Yeah.
Dogs, by the way. The dogs, as you can, did you hear Disco in the background? We have 3 dogs. I hear they make you happier. Animals.
They do. And they also favor longevity. Yes, I believe it or not, I only endorse one product. It's called Get Joy Dog Food. I don't know why. They came to me and talked me into it.
See, and there it is with money again. If it's a fancy paycheck, you're like, okay, maybe I'll consider it.
I'm not going to lie to you. They've been very generous with me, but I say no to 9 out of 10 things.
Dan,
and I said yes to this thing because, I know the data that people who own dogs weigh less, they have more life expectancy, and they report higher levels of happiness. So I'm all for it.
All right, since